Okay, we're here at the 14th Annual CASRO Technology Conference in New York on May 28th. And now we're speaking with Simon Chadwick, who is the CEO of Peanut Labs. Simon, thanks for taking a few minutes to speak with us.
My pleasure.
So, tell us what you were speaking about today in your presentation, if you would.
Well, Dana, I was speaking about the emergence of social media as a sample source for research, whether that be conventional research as we know it, or indeed other sources of research. And the main point that I was making was that the email-based model of quantitative online research has experienced, let's say, some tensions and flaws over the last few years, particularly with some groups, particularly with Gen Y, Gen X, some ethnic groups, even moms with children, that it's very difficult to get to through traditional email-based sampling.
What do you attribute that to?
Well, the critical thing is that with the rise of social networking over the last 3 years or so, and we're now talking about 700 million people worldwide being on social networks, social networking has actually become the primary form of communication online and has surpassed email. And for certain populations, and increasingly other populations, email is being sidelined into a work method of communication. But when people want to communicate with their friends, they're increasingly communicating through social networks. So this entire new environment has been built, this new natural environment where people are spending their time. Research, however, the original research model insists on trying to get them through the old method of communication, which may actually not work. So what we have tried to do at Peanut Labs is to engage with these consumers in their new natural environment. What Kim Dedeker has called re-engaging with them in their backyard, except that this happens to be their digital backyard, where they spend a lot of their time. So what we do is we actually have what's called an iframe. It's embedded on 120, 130 social networks and applications.
Can I just ask, is that like an application or what's iframe?
An iframe is literally just a method of embedding yourself into the homepage or into a page of the network so that you look exactly like the page itself. So, for example, when people come to take our surveys, it's as if we are part of the social network or the application or the game or whatever it is that they may be involved in. So an iframe literally just embeds us.
Okay.
And each of these applications or networks or games, we insist that they have a virtual currency, and we reward respondents with that virtual currency, which is very important to them because then they can go on and do other things within the application or within the network with that virtual currency. So what we do is we say, come and come and take surveys that will earn you virtual currency, earn you gold points or certificates or whatever it may be. And that then, when they come to us into the iframe for the first time, we profile them on 16 to 33 attributes so that we have, if you like, empaneled them, except we haven't empaneled them. We have databased them for future research. When we have surveys that are available for them, we alert them when they're online. We don't spam them or email them or anything like that. We alert them when they're online and in the application. There is a survey. They can come, take the survey, earn the virtual currency, get it immediately, go back to what they were doing. So we're talking now to people who are not there just to take research, not there just to earn cash for research. We're talking to an entirely new population in their new natural environment that just happens to want to take surveys in order to gain some knowledge.
Now, some might ask whether that leads to a younger, more tech-savvy sample. What is your position on that?
Very, very good question. Initially, when we started out, The demographic of social networks was very much, particularly Facebook and MySpace, was very much towards the younger demographic, and that's where we were able to solve a pain point for the research industry. It was becoming very difficult for panel companies and others to be able to get to Gen Y. We were able to get to them in boatloads. As the social networking phenomenon has spread so rapidly, and particularly in the last 6 months, the average age of the social network user has spread out and grown older at a rate of about 1 year every 4 months. So that we're now looking at, both on Facebook and to a lesser extent on MySpace, a population that is looking far more like the general population. 75% of internet users in this country are on a social network of some sort or another. And I'm sure do you have a Facebook account?
Yeah, sure.
Has your mum asked to be a friend yet?
Oh, she's been a friend for about 3 or 4 months.
There you go. And, 3 or 4 months. So starting November last year, it seemed that, everybody's mum, auntie, grandma, whatever, was getting on Facebook and befriending, the younger generation who was already on there. So it's now become a much more generalized medium.
So what's the motivation for the social networks to work with Peanut Labs?
Monetization. Basically, a lot of these networks, and we're talking not Facebook or MySpace themselves, we're talking applications on top of them, or we're talking about gaming companies, or we're talking about specialized sites, specialty sites that appeal to moms or whatever it may be. What they're looking for is a way to monetize what they're doing, a way to make money out of what they're doing. Now, they can do that through direct marketing and advertising. What we happen to bring is a much better, much more rich way for them to make money out of surveys. So when we go to a publisher, we can actually promise them somewhere in the order of $160 CPM, that's cost per thousand. Whereas an ad may be $20, something like that. So they find us intriguing because we provide a user experience that is unique, that is not abusive, and that makes them money.
Interesting. So what's next? What's coming down the pike, or for the industry, or for Peanut Labs?
Well, I think for the industry, social media, the use of social media is going to become increasingly important. This is, after all, the new natural environment where people are. And so whether it be in communities or, we were hearing during this conference about all sorts of different ways of bringing people into temporary social networks, or doing qualitative or embedded IMs, or whatever it is. Social networks have a major part to play in the way in which research becomes much more holistic than in the past. And to use Joel Rubinson's phraseology, it becomes much more of a listening organization, or listening industry than a questioning industry. I think where Peanut Labs is concerned, we have built a business, it's a substantial business now, accessing this sample. I think we will be at about 250 networks by the end of this year. That will enable us to reach out to many different populations, and I think we'll be able to give access not only to youngsters but also to moms, African Americans, Hispanics, all sorts of populations that are difficult to access, as well as the general population online.
Excellent. Well, that's very interesting. Thank you for your time. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
The best way is email, and there are 2 emails I'll give you: simon.chadwick@peanutlabs.com and simon@consultcambiar.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dana.